Okay, we're back. I've battery ran out on the camera, and I'd used camstudio or something, but it keeps buggering up on me. Anyway, just showed you how to create the keyframes on the previous mesh that we created, but I've just shifted that aside. We're going back to my original project mesh, the one that has the shape keys created for it, but I've deleted all the animation, so we have to recreate that so that I can show you how to do that. So we're going to animate the shape keys for this, assuming that the scene has been set to animate at 24 frames per second. We're going to be double framing each frame of animation, so it's going to be running on 2s, that is at 12 frames per second. And it's going to be pretty tedious. This is going to feel like almost like you're stitching with shape keys. So we're going to do our first key. So that's our. I should point out that the shape key names. If you double click on and it highlights, you can scrub that out and replace the names of each key, shape key, which could be handy if you've got all the animations of your respective character on a single sprite sheet, and you've got all the faces modelled in your mesh, and you want to be able to easily identify what you're animating. It just makes sense to name everything, but this is just the standard whatever names that it's just given me. I'm not going to change that, so we're just going to set to run right, which is that way, but I actually mirrored it. You can actually mirror your sprites. I'll show you how to do that later. Anyway, first frame of animation. That's the first display frame. That's the first face, and we press the I key. Okie dokie. And then we move to the next frame. Of course, now that it's been keyed, it's going to be hemmed in, which is good. We want that. For the next key, we have to key it again. Basically, because we are literally we're animating frames of animation, which means absolutely everything has to be keyed. Every key has to be keyed. It's just the only way to do it. So okay, so the first frame displayed for 2 frames. Now in order to display the next frame, it has to be displayed previously as off before it can be displayed as on. I'm going to show you what we mean. First we got to shrink that and that's our second frame to be displayed. It has to be basically we have to this is the second frame, but it has to be animated off before we can switch it on. Otherwise it's not going to know where it's coming from. You can't say. That's how animation works. It's moving from one state to another state. So if we simply keyed it on the third frame, it's going to transition from the off state to the on state over a period of 3 frames, which we don't want. So we're just going to go back to we're just going to go back to the preceding frame. So 1, 2, and then this frame we're going to be keying the second frame in its off state first, so keyed. Then we move to the third frame where we have to turn off the first frame face to off, and then key that so that it stays off, and then we go back to the second frame face and key that on. That way it jumps straight in. It's a bit confusing even as I'm explaining it. I mean, you'll get it, but you're always going to go, oh, where did I go wrong? I've skipped something, and he's like, ah. But anyway, this frame is being keyed off now, so we don't have to worry about that. That frame's been keyed on, and it's gonna, because we're double framing, we've got to key it again for a second instant. So now that has been keyed twice, so that it lives for 2 frames. And then we have to key it off. Do we? No, we don't. No, we don't. Oof. We have to key the next frame off. Yeah, here. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Basically, we want to move from the second frame to the third frame, but before the third frame can be displayed, it has to be keyed off on the preceding frame. So hover the mouse over, so that's been keyed off. Then we move to the position where the third frame is going to be displayed. So it's been keyed as off. Now we can key it as on. Ignore the fact that everything's turned upside down. The shapes tend to multiply themselves when you mix them, so that's going to fix itself when we turn the second keyframe off again. Whew. So, excuse me, I'm a bit hungry. Anyway, so first frame on again, and then it just switches from off, and the second frame switches to on, and then that's held for another frame, and then for the third frame the second frame is switched off, but not before the third frame has been bleh. We'll get the idea. You'll get the idea. We'll do a couple more frames, and then hopefully practice will get you through the rest. So we need to key it one more time. So the third frame has been keyed. So the third frame keys for 2 frames. Okay, so now we want to key the fourth frame as off before we move over to displaying it. So keying it off, and then we move to the frame we were going to display it, and then we key it on, and then we switch the third frame off, and then do it again. And you always want to just keep going back and checking, because what the hell's going on here? You always overlook something. That's frame 1 display, frame 1 second frame, that is frame 1, that is, how is it? 1, 2, then second frame, 1, 2, then third frame, 1, 2. It's gone half. See, that's what basically it tries to interpolate. If you miss out a frame, if you miss out keying a frame, it tries to smooth it over. I think that's what we want to do with it, isn't it? So, because it should either be on or off. There's no in betweens. So, first frame. That's 1, 2. Second frame. 1, 2. Third frame. 1, 2. Fourth frame. 1, 2. Phew. So, fifth frame, keying off, and then we jump to the frame where we want to display the fifth frame, and then key that as on, and then the fourth frame as off. Oh, getting very hungry. And we do it again, so it is keyed to be displayed for 2 frames. And again, we always end up finding ourselves overlooking something. That's the 4th frame. Correcting that again, because that is frame 4. I don't know why. I guess I must have forgot to key it, maybe. So now we're back to the beginning. The first frame displayed, 1, 2. Second frame to be displayed, 1, 2. Third frame to be displayed, 1, 2. Fourth frame to be displayed, 1, 2. Fifth frame to be displayed, 1, 2. And you just want to keep an eye out for the numbers. At no point should there be a 0.5 or anything. It's just 0 or 1 throughout, and you have to carry on and on all the way until you get to the bottom and hopefully not lose your mind. So once that's been done, you should have some animation curves in your, what is this? The graph editor. Yeah, you want to select all those, because even though you're not giving any room for any interpolation, it is attempting to do it, even if there's no frames between each frame of animation. It will continue to try to round. You see the curves slightly rounded. We just want to leave no chances that it will do that at any instance. So 1 minute.